Hi, I'm Rin. Welcome to my channel. So we'll be building Kafka today. Why not, I guess. Thanks for the comment about it. I don't really know much about Kafka. Well, there's not a lot to say about Kafka herself in the first place. She likes her secrets, she's not the type of character to tell us much about her past, and even if she does, you don't really know if she's telling the truth or not. But it's fun to speculate, isn't it? And she's someone that we can come up with 1,000 theories about. The strange woman with an eerie smile on her face, the Stellaron Hunter who knows far more than they're letting on to the Trailblazer. She feels no fear, she has these mysterious abilities. What could she be planning? Where will we meet her next? But anyway, I'm rambling enough now. Let's move on to what you're actually here for. How do we build her in D&D? First things first, we need to set up the groundwork for what we're doing here. Splitting the video into a few sections: race, class, ability scores, background feats, then its languages and proficiencies, then its magic, equipment. Then we write up a little backstory for her, fitting for the D&D world. Of course, the whole idea of these videos is to create these characters that are copies of who they are, but set in a D&D context and vague enough that your DM doesn't figure out who they are. It's all for fun and games here, so let's get on to the video now. So, Kafka, huh? First off, for race, I picked Hexblood because why not? It just made sense to me. Hexblood are beings that are infused with eldritch magic, fey energy, or witchcraft. Something about it just felt mysterious and unnerving enough that it felt right for Kafka. We know that she used to be a devil hunter in her home planet before she joined the Stellaron Hunters, which could be used as an interesting story beat that can lead into why she's a Hexblood. Beings that are cursed by magic or through other means, it could be interesting when we use it to advantage when writing her backstory. I also decided to use her charisma scores as her main stats for her hex magic, but that's because of a class that I gave her. I was stuck between two specific choices that I wanted to give her, but because of who she is, I decided to actually give her both. 4 levels in Rogue and 3 levels in Warlock. Perfect fit for her skill sets. Rogue because of her role as a Stellaron Hunter, making their way through unsuspecting planets, unnoticed for the most part, and Warlock because of her relationship with Elio and the finality. Also, the idea of the Stellaron Hunters collecting Stellarons kind of remind me of how Warlocks are tasked with special tasks by their patrons, and how they get their powers. For the subclasses, I went with Mastermind Rogue because, well, it's Kafka. If she's not a Mastermind Rogue, I don't know what she is. It also gives her some benefits like being able to aid allies far away from you, and also giving her the ability to mimic speech patterns really easily. I don't really know if they are features that Kafka has herself, especially the fighting part, but it's useful. It's really useful. For her Warlock side, I had to think about Elio first, the mysterious figure that we know very little about, and yet their influence on the Stellaron Hunters can be felt everywhere. I decided to give Kafka the Archfey patron because of this. An ancient being that holds unforetold secrets, unscrutable, powerful, a little whimsical. It does fit Destiny's Slave and the scripts that he writes. But yes, perfect fit for building Kafka. With her level 2 in Warlock, she gets some Eldritch invocations, which I had chosen to be Beguiling Influence because it gives her proficiencies in Persuasion and Deception, as well as Misty Vision because of her ability to manipulate the mind. Also, that ability could help with her infiltration as a rogue, so yeah. Also, her Pact Boon, I gave her the Pact of the Talisman to help with failed rolls, and it gives her a bit of a chance of succeeding with a 1d4. Pretty neat. Moving on to her ability scores, her high should be her charisma and dexterity, then her intelligence, then wisdom, and then you could choose between her constitution and her strength. I would choose constitution over strength myself, but this choice is up to you. They aren't stats that are very important to building her. For background, I went with Urban Bounty Hunter, mainly because the charlatan background wasn't working for me. It makes more sense with her actual backstory as a demon hunter and all. It also works better with her proficiencies because it gives her proficiencies in playing cards, and it also gives her the ability to play the violin. Anyway, moving on from all that, for feats I gave her Gunner, so she has the ability to actually use firearms, so long as your DM allows it. It gives her additional pluses to her dexterity. You can ignore disadvantages as well when you're in close combat with the enemy and using a gun. For languages I picked Undercommon, Infernal, and Sylvan. Undercommon because it's a language of the Underdark, fitting for a bounty hunter like Kafka. Infernal because it's a reference to her original backstory, and Sylvan because, well, you need to speak to your archfey sometimes, don't you? For proficiencies, I already mentioned earlier the card and violin proficiencies, but with her rogue and bounty hunter background, you can also give her further ones. Those being intimidation, stealth, insight, sleight of hand, and investigation. All very useful as a rogue. And then I also added performance into the mix because of how she was introduced to us in the first place, and because she seems like someone who knows how to make a presentation. Also because I forgot to mention it before, I gave her expertise in deception with her rogue class, just so everyone knows. And you also get additional proficiencies with your Hexblood as well. I never used them myself for building Kafka because I thought it was a bit of an overkill, but they are there if you want to add additional proficiencies. Moving on to magic, I'm only going to give you recommendations for what spells I think you should give her, but there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of spells that you can choose from. I'm only going to give you the ones I feel like seem more like her as a character. Not all of them are useful, but you can have them around as flavoring for your Kafka. First up is Eldritch Blast because all good warlocks need them. You can flavor it as her shooting her gun if you'd like. Number 2 is Friends because I can see Kafka using it to manipulate someone. That and also her boss battle where there are Shinjo soldiers who would show up during the fight. Next spell is Suggestion because of her Spirit Whisper ability, again like the previous one. Similarly, I also added Puppet as a spell that you can learn. This time it's mainly because of the ability she has where she can control one of the player characters. Though Puppet the spell doesn't allow you to attack your enemies with an enemy, it's similar enough that I wanted to add it. These are probably not the best spells, but they're good enough in my eyes. For equipment, I'm not sure what your DM allows, but I would pick a short sword and 2 revolvers, simply so you can mimic her fighting style. Finally, it's time to write up her backstory, one that would be fitting for her in a D&D environment. I'm still not confident in this part of the video, but I'm gonna do my best and hopefully make it entertaining, especially to you guys. But let's move on to writing now for our good and favorite Stellaron Hunter. It's quite complicated to explain it. She had never really known the right words to describe the emotions that ran through her. Not accurately, anyway. She had chosen to become a bounty hunter because she had wanted to understand it. What it meant to be alive, what it meant to fear death. Still, it never made sense to her. Why did she exist? Why was she different from the people around her? A cursed being with abilities that are hard to comprehend. Not even those who would consider her allies would understand her. No, she shouldn't dwell on these frivolous things. She had far more important matters to attend to. It was a simple mission like any other, scouring through the pitiful cityscape, for a burglar they said was terrorizing the citizens. She had dealt with these 1,000 times now, and she wasn't getting any more interested in it. A little boring with everything considered. And as she wished for better entertainment for herself, it was finally granted her when a foolish man approached her. At first she believed the man to be a recruiter of some kind. She had heard about the strange cult that had been taking over the area. But then the man asked her something that truly piqued her interest. "What do you think comes after the final dance?" The man asked her. Final dance? What was he going on about? He seemed nervous, as if he could sense something awful about the bounty hunter. Maybe he knew she wasn't as human as she wanted to come off to be. Maybe he knew she didn't feel emotions as a human should. She laughed and asked the man what he was after. approaching a stranger so flippantly. The man explained that he was sent there to meet with her by a powerful being that had taken interest in her abilities. A powerful being? Surely he was messing with her. What type of explanation was that? Her intrigue turned into annoyance then, and she quickly got rid of her troubles with a swift and merciless motion. She had no time for distractions, after all, and she had a far more important matter to attend to. And that was when he first came to her, a cat making its way towards her, and their voice speaking through the slender form. You did wish for amusement, did you not? Why not join us for our final dance? She smirked a little, but she thought about what the offer meant. But what does it mean to join the final dance? The answer you seek, a reason for existence. I can open your eyes to the meaning of finality itself. A tempting offer, it truly was, though it wasn't enough to fully convince her. She felt the rain lightly fall upon her head, and the being offered her an umbrella to take. Her eyes met with the being's, and she could see through the illusion just long enough to understand who was offering her such an intriguing deal. A being as ancient as the greatest oak tree in the forest. A creature who would understand what she truly was. Deep down she knew that she was completely ensnared by the Fae from the moment it approached her that dreary evening. And so the pact was sealed, and a being was born from her ashes, one who may one day understand the finality of life, and find what she had been seeking all this time. What did it mean to be alive, and who would be joining her within that final dance? Anyway, that's the end of that. I don't know if I did a good job with the story, but I hope it's interesting. I don't think I really know Kafka well enough to give her more details. I like her, but I don't really know her. Not yet, anyway. Maybe one day I'll come back to this and give her a revision, but for now I hope you like it. It was really fun designing her anyway, and I hope it's entertaining. Like and subscribe if you like. Anyway, I'm heading off. See you next time. It's always fun to do this.